Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Actually, I'll do that in a moment. Good morning, dear devotees from Sridham Mayapur. This is our daily class in Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm sorry, when I speak, I look in the camera, so I don't know. So I'm not trying to be impersonal. Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Radha Madhava Jaya Jannavalava Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jannavalava Jaya Girivaradhari Balava Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Jaya Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Rama Rama, Jaya Kundra Vihari, Jaya Rama Rama, Jaya Kundra Vihari, Jaya Girivara. Shri Radha Madhava Guru ki, Bhagavad Raj Maharaj ki, Grantaraj Shri Bhagavatam ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Gopremanandi Hari Bol. Good morning, dear devotees. So, from Sridham Mayapur, we're speaking something from the third canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. My humble pranams to Vaisheshika Prabhu is here, Dvaita Chandra, Brajavanita from Israel, Natalie from Estonia, and Lynn from the lovely state of Washington in the U.S. I used to live in Washington State. I was the president in Seattle for a couple of years. So today we're reading from the 25th chapter of the third canto. Lord Kapila Dev speaking to his mother Devahuti, and this is text number 25. Pashanti te me ruchiranyamba santa prasana vatra runa lochanani rupani divyani vara pradani sakam vacham sprihaniyam vadanti. Lord Kapila Dev tells his mother, "Oh, my mother, my devotees always see the smiling face of my form, with eyes like the rising morning sun. They like to see my various transcendental forms, which are all benevolent, and they also talk favorably with me." So Prabhupada writes in his purport, Mayavadis and atheists accept the forms of the deities in the temple of the Lord as idols. But devotees do not worship idols. They directly worship the personality of Godhead in his Archa incarnation. Archa refers to the form which we can worship in our present condition. Actually, in our present state, it's not possible to see God in his spiritual form because our material eyes and senses cannot conceive of a spiritual form. We cannot even see the spiritual form of the individual soul. When a man dies, we cannot see how the spiritual form leaves the body. That is the defect of our material senses. In order to be seen by our material senses, the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts a favorable form, which is called Archa Vigraha. This Archa Vigraha, sometimes called the Archa Incarnation, is not different from him, just as the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts various incarnations. He takes on forms made out of matter, like clay, wood, metal, and jewels. There are many Shastric injunctions which give instructions for carving forms of the Lord. These forms are not material. If God is all-pervading, then he is also in the material elements. There's no doubt about it. But the atheists think otherwise. Although they preach that everything is God, When they go to the temple and see the form of the Lord, they deny that he is God. According to their own theory, everything is God. Then why is the deity not God? Actually, they have no conception of God. The devotee's vision, however, is different. Their vision is smeared with love of God. As soon as they see the Lord in his different forms, the devotees become saturated with love, for they do not find any difference between the Lord and his form in the temple, as do the atheists. The smiling face of the deity in the temple is beheld by the devotees as transcendental and spiritual, and the decoration of the body of the Lord is very much appreciated by the devotees. It is the duty of the spiritual master to teach how to decorate the deity in the temple, how to cleanse the temple, and how to worship the deity. There are different procedures and rules and regulations which are followed in the temples of Vishnu. And devotees go there to see the deity, the Vigraha, and spiritually enjoy the form, because all the deities are benevolent. The devotees express their minds before the deity, and in many instances the deity also gives answers. Ask her if 4 o'clock is okay to just ask her if she understands. The devotees express their minds before the deity, and in many instances the deity also gives answers. But one must be a very elevated devotee in order to be able to speak to the Supreme Lord. Sometimes the Lord informs the devotee through dreams. These exchanges of feelings between the deity and the devotees are not understandable by atheists, but actually the devotee enjoys them. Kapila Muni is explaining how the devotees see the decorated body and face of the deity and how they speak with him in devotional service. Gora Griganya Ganagota Goloruharam Goranga Guda Tamagopyara Kopa Briksham Gopalagada Ratidam Yati Singha Gora Govinda Deshikavaram Satatam Namani Panchakopa Vishcham Vipasindhu Vyevacham Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his Artha Darshan commentary on this verse, he says that Kapila Dev is given some qualities about Bhakti, and now he's given some specific examples. Today, we would like to speak about a very esoteric topic. We'd like to speak about art, Bhakti, and beauty, and where does Krishna's beauty reside? The question comes, where does beauty reside? Everyone is eager to enjoy beauty, but where does the beauty reside? A piece of art is not able to appreciate itself. You may have a painting by Rembrandt or Michelangelo or some great artist, but the painting's not saying, yes, I get so much pleasure. And the painting's getting no pleasure. The art itself doesn't get pleasure. Right? Nor even is that art fully appreciated by the artist. The artist is a medium of creation. Art, okay, let me see. Art is only fully appreciated by the connoisseur. So 3 things are required. You have to have an artist who makes the art, you have to have the art itself, and you have to have the connoisseur, the person who relishes it. All 3 are in cause and effect for each other. All 3 are dependent upon each other. You may have a beautiful piece of art, but if you just present it to some dogs or some animals, they'll just pass urine on it. They can't appreciate the beauty of the art. And similarly, even the artist himself, He's caught up so much in things that he can't also appreciate fully. But it's the connoisseur who's able to really fully appreciate that. What is art? I was thinking about this morning. There's so many definitions about art. I would like to offer a very simple definition of what art is. Art is expression that moves the heart. Does that sound good? You appreciate that? Art is expression that moves the heart. Now, how that expression comes about, it may be through so many different things. It may be through paintings, it may be through music, it may be through dance, it may be through drama, it may be through poetry, it may be through giving lectures, it may be through the art of walking. And someone may really focus on walking, and you see someone walking. Day before yesterday, I saw the elephants from the temple walking by the property here. And I was just appreciating how beautifully the elephants move. Their movement is real art, and it moves the heart. Anything which is an expression that someone creates that moves the heart, that gives some communication in his feelings, that thing is our definition of art. So the highest form of art that can possibly exist is a form of God. That's the highest form of art. But just as art has an intrinsic connection with the artist and the connoisseur, so also Krishna's form has an intrinsic connection with the devotees. Where does Krishna's beauty reside? Krishna's beauty doesn't actually reside within himself. There's a story from a Leela Kirtan that they sing in Braj, that when Krishna was a small boy, he was being teased by some of the other boys that, why are you black? And so one day he asked Mother Yashoda this question. And Mother Yashoda, looking at this little boy, thinking, what am I going to tell him? She said, well, because you were born at midnight, that's why you're black. And Krishna thought, oh, that makes sense. Huh? And then Mother Yashoda said, and also because I've given you milk from a black cow. And because of that, you're black. And Krishna thought, oh, that also makes sense. Right? Doesn't it? You want to know a very funny thing? I heard that something like 61% or something of people in America think that chocolate milk comes from a brown-colored cow. That's so foolish. This is a side comment. But other people say the real reason why Krishna is black is because Krishna resides in the eyes of the gopis. And the gopis, they've put this black cudgel around their eyes. And because they're always seeing Krishna, because their eyes have this black cudgel around them, then Krishna has also become blackish. So I wrote some article a few years ago about painting for Lord Jagannath, we called it, for Satyaraja's journal. I'd like to just read a few words from that. We wrote that art and devotion are like distinct yet interwoven notes in symphonies of the heart. Their high points have been reached whenever they are original, individualistic, and with no cause other than creative or divine madness. Both are pleasing to the heart, and both provide a shelter and release from life's anxieties. In the words of the U.S. novelist Willa Cather, who lived from 1873 to 1947, he said, art and religion, they are the same thing in the end, of course, have given man the only happiness he has ever had. So there's an intrinsic quality between the art and the person who appreciates the art. The great artist, perhaps the greatest, most famous artist in the history of the world, is Leonardo da Vinci, material artist. And he once said that the lover is drawn by the thing loved. The lover is drawn by the thing loved, as the sense is by that it perceives. The sense is appreciated by that which it perceives. If there's nothing to smell, you don't appreciate your nose. If there's nothing to see, you don't appreciate the eyes, you don't notice them. or the taste, you don't notice the tongue, etc. So the sense is appreciated by the thing that it perceives, just as the lover is drawn by the thing loved. Only someone who has love can appreciate something else. So this is a very, very deep discussion, very deep topic. In the material world, people think they understand what is love, but we offer love in the wrong place. In Jagadananda Pandit's Prema Vivarta, he's given a wonderful song. The word priti, or here he calls it, he says piriti, means love. Piriti, 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 Jejana piriti, vujite pare, praja gopi hoya se. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. This is piriti, piriti, piriti bole, puriti bujilake. Who? Everybody talks about love, love, love. I love you. I love this, I love that. Everybody talks about love. But who understands? Piriti bujilake. Who really understands love? Jejana piriti bujide pari, braja gopi hoyase. It's really the gopis of Vrindavan who understand love. Similarly, it's really the gopis. Everyone speaks about beauty, the object of love. Love, priti here means bhakti. So what is the object of bhakti? The ultimate object of bhakti is beauty. But it's only the gopis of Vrindavan who really understand what love is. And it's really only the gopis of Vrindavan who fully appreciate the beauty of Krishna. And without the gopis of Vrindavan, we wouldn't be able to understand the beauty of Krishna. Even Krishna by himself, he can't understand his own beauty. And he feels frustrated. Rupa Goswami in his Lalita Madhav says that once Krishna saw his own reflection and he became so much attracted by it. Who is this? And then he says there in that Lalita Madhav, he said, I wish that I could have the form of a gopi. And then I would be able to really relish that form. So we see this in the material sense also, that where is beauty? Beauty, we say in English, is in the eye of the beholder. Someone who really appreciates beauty. And a woman may be extremely ugly to everybody else, but her husband just loves her like anything. A little boy may be rejected and reviled by everyone. No one appreciates him, but his mother loves him like anything and thinks he's the greatest and the best of everything. That's the nature of love. So where does Krishna's beauty reside? What is the address? Where is the residence of Krishna's beauty? Krishna's beauty is in the eyes of the devotees. Krishna's beauty is in the heart of the devotees. And therefore Krishna's beauty is the ultimate art, and the devotees who appreciate that, they're the ultimate connoisseurs of that art. And both things are required. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that three things are required: Bhakti, Bhakta, and Bhagavan. So Bhagavan is the art itself. Bhakti is the thing by which we can appreciate that art. And the Bhakta is the connoisseur. My Guru Maharaj spoke about this quite at length in a very, very deep way. I'm just trying to chew on the remnants of what he said. In one lecture in Bhubaneswar in 1989, he said, the heart is like a mirror. And in that mirror, Krishna's beauty is reflected. Krishna can't see his own beauty, although he tries to. And Guru Maharaj says, we give the example of sugar candy and the tongue. Sugar candy is very sweet, but where is that sweetness felt? It's not appreciated in the sugar candy. nor is it appreciated in the tongue, but it's appreciated in the meeting of both. Then one can relish that sweetness. Similarly, he says, the extraordinary beauty of Krishna, which is ever new, is not in Krishna. When all beautiful Krishna and Madhanakya Mahabhava Moyi Srimati Radharani unite together, that ever newer and newer beauty is expressed. It cannot be expressed separately. What does this mean? Krishna is Rasika Shekhar. He's the supreme, he's Priti Vishwa. He's the supreme object of love. And Srimati Radharani is Priti Ashray. She's the supreme abode of that love. Srimati Radharani is a supreme connoisseur. Krishna is the supreme object of love. And Srimati Radharani is the supreme abode of that love. Both things are required. There has to be Shakti and Shaktiman. There has to be God and his female aspect of Srimati Radharani. That female aspect of God is the quality of relishment, or being a connoisseur. That quality is not within God himself. He can't appreciate himself. Just as how can fire appreciate ice or cold? It can't appreciate it. How can the night appreciate the sunrise or daytime, daylight? It can't appreciate it. It can't understand it. So Srimati Radharani, she's Madhanakya Mahabhava Moyi. She's the supreme abode of that love. And the supreme art in this universe is when the object of art, the supreme object of art, was Krishna. He's the supreme beauty. And we'll speak something more about this form of the Lord tomorrow and the effect that it has on the devotees. Krishna is the supreme object of beauty. Art, in that sense, means beauty. What is beauty? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Beauty or art is an expression of something which moves the heart. So Srimati Radharani, she's the heart itself. She's the emotion or the appreciation of the beauty of Krishna. And unless those two meet together, we can't really understand what that beauty is. If I watch, for example, some Odia dance, some Bharatanatyam dance, technical dance, I'm watching, and I know little something. I know this is the udder of a cow, they may do like that, or this is Ganesh. I know a few of the mudras they may do, but I can't understand everything. I can't understand because I have a limited education in the music. I can't understand the tals, the beat that's going on. I can't understand the ragas that are going on. I'm perceiving something of it with my senses, but because I haven't been fully trained and because I'm not fully qualified, I can't really fully relish that expression of dance and music. But someone who fully knows all these different arts, that person can fully relish it. And without such a person, the arts have no meaning. What's the value of something greatly intellectual without the person who can appreciate it? When Albert Einstein discovered his famous theory of E equals mc squared, the theory of relativity, what did he do? Did he rush out on the streets of Berlin and find some drunken person laying in the street and say, hey man, check this out? Did he go to some 5-year-old children and say, look at this, check this out? He didn't, because they can't understand it, they can't appreciate it. He had to go to someone who could appreciate. So this is the bhakta. The bhakta is so very, very required for there to be rasa, for there to be mellows of exchange. These three things are required: bhakta, bhakti, and bhagavan. So if a Guru Maharaj gives the example of sugar in the Lord Chandas Kapo's Chaitanya Mangal, he gives the same analogy. Sarkara se apane nij swada nahi jane para jana Rupa Bhoga. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Sarkara se apane, nija swada nahi jane. It says that sugar has no power to taste its own sweetness. Parajana kori upabhog. Only other persons can fully relish and taste the sweetness of sugar. Srila Prabhupada describes in Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, chapter 10, he says, the attitude of the gopis is like a mirror upon which the reflection of Krishna's beauty develops at every moment. Both Krishna and the gopis increase their transcendental beauty at every moment. And there's always transcendental competition between them. No one can appreciate the beauty of Krishna by properly discharging his occupational duty, meaning through varnashram dharma, or by undergoing austerities, practicing mystic yoga, cultivating knowledge, or offering various kinds of prayers. Only those who are on the transcendental platform of love of God, who engage in devotional service only out of love, only they can appreciate the transcendental beauty of Krishna. Only the gopis can do that. Someone may be very expert in Ashtanga yoga. They may be very expert in following varnashram dharma, doing austerities, cultivating knowledge by reading so many books and things, offering different prayers. But they can't appreciate the beauty of Krishna. When Krishna wants to understand his beauty, he has to find a mirror. But what mirror can properly reflect Krishna's beauty? If he goes to an ordinary mirror, it's flat, it's one-dimensional. And the feelings which Krishna's form evoke are only conveyed in a one-dimensional way through that mirror. So to understand, or to appreciate the beauty of himself, to see that beauty, Krishna has to go to a special mirror. And my Guru Maharaj called this the Sat Prema Hridaya Darpana. Or the Darpana means mirror, or the mirror of the heart of Krishna's pure devotees. Only those devotees can really appreciate the form of Krishna. And this is really the object of bhakti. This is a real goal of bhakti. This is a real attainment of bhakti. To see that form of Krishna. Unless we have that object of bhakti, that object of devotion, unless we come to the point of realizing that object of devotion and seeing God, then our bhakti is incomplete. We're not really relishing. We can't really understand what that thing must be there. So we must have this taste. We must have this ruchi. Srila Prabhupada spoke about this in one lecture in Vrindavan in 1972. He said, first, this shraddha of faith has to be increased. Then when you come to the point of ruchi, Vasudev Kata ruchi, ruchi means a taste. Vasudev Kata ruchi, a taste for hearing topics about Krishna. Prabhupada said, that is the beginning of our perfection. He said, at the present moment, there's no ruchi, no taste. Vasudev Kata ruchi. There are so many exalted persons, but they have no ruchi, no taste. They've lost all taste. And Prabhupada says there are two faults. Either, and Prabhupada, by the way, when he was speaking this, he was speaking in front of a row of sannyas dandas. We have some photos of this in our ashram in Jagannath Puri. And Srila Prabhupada was giving his class at the Radha Damodar temple in 1972. And sitting in front of Srila Prabhupada were practically his most senior preachers. This is who Srila Prabhupada is speaking to. So bear that in mind. Prabhupada said there are two faults. Either people could not preach properly, and as a result, they couldn't create taste in the people in general. And Prabhupada said it's not the fault of the people in general, it's the fault of the so-called preachers. Because they could not create taste, they wanted to take the place of Krishna. That was their purpose. Imitation Krishna, imitation God that will not do. What does that mean? That means that unless we come to the platform of relishing, being a connoisseur, a rasik, bhavuk, Vaishnav, we can't really appreciate bhakti. Bhakti is just theoretical on the platform of Vaidhi. And we can't really appreciate Krishna. And what will happen then is we'll want to take the position of Krishna. We'll want to be the supreme object of beauty, the supreme object of adoration and worship. So this appreciation for Krishna, the negation of this terrible fault of wanting to take the role of Krishna for ourselves, that negation comes about when we develop ruchi, when we develop taste for Krishna. And when we develop that taste for Krishna, then we can be a real preacher. So in that sense, preaching, which is a nasty word in the English language, which if you look in the English dictionary, preaching has a very negative connotation also. Preaching means to change someone's mind, but preaching also means to speak down to someone, to speak in an annoying kind of way. So preaching or prachar means the same as vardhana. Vardhana in Sanskrit, we say govardhana. The Giriraj Govardhan, he expanded the relishment of the senses. He expanded, go means senses. He expanded the happiness or the nourishment of the cows. He expanded the happiness, the relishment of the gopas, the cowherd people of Vrindavan. That's what preaching really means. Preaching means that we have some ruchi. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, poetry is defined in a very wonderful way. This is one of Hariparsha Prabhu's favorite verses, I know. Hariparsha Prabhu was a great artist in poetry and expression. It said there, Kim kabdina kavastesya kandena danus mata parasya hridaye ladnam na gunayati yachchira. What is the use of a bowman's arrow or a poet's poetry if they penetrate the heart, but they don't cause the head to spin? What is the use of them? So this is art. What is the use? Even you see the form of Krishna. Many demons saw the form of Krishna. In Chaitanya Bhagavat, Mahaprabhu speaks to Mukunda, and he tells Mukunda, he says, you know, when I entered into Mathura and Dwarpar Leela as Krishna, there was a washerman. And that washerman got to have my darshan, but he couldn't appreciate me because he didn't have bhakti. And he said that washerman, he performed austerities for thousands of births to be able to see God. And then I came before him. But because he didn't have bhakti, he couldn't appreciate the form of the Lord. So the form of the Lord is the supreme object of art. But that object of art has no meaning without the connoisseur, without the person who appreciates that art. And when someone really appreciates that art, then it penetrates the heart and it causes the head to spin. Or in the language in Bengali and Sanskrit, it becomes chamatkar, something fully astonishing. But only the gopis of Vrindavan, only the devotees can appreciate this in full. So we say sometimes that the closest thing in the material world to bhakti, if we want to try to express bhakti to an outside person, the closest thing to bhakti is art. They have many, many things in common. Right? That both art and bhakti must be individual. They must be original. If you copy someone else's painting, it may be a really good copy, but that's not really art. It has to be original. It has to be individualistic. It has to be your expression. And it has to not be done for some material motivation. We say that if someone is doing art just to make money, that person's a craftsman, but they're not really an artist. An artist is someone who can make some expression which moves the heart to sadness, to happiness. It can take the mind to another place. That's art. And that's also bhakti. Just as in art, you may have a big art academy. I'm a Piney Rod that studied art. You may have a big art academy. Maybe 1,000 students are attending the art academy. But out of those 1,000 students, how many really become real artists? Maybe 998 become craftspersons. They learn how to make a nice circle. They know how to make a human face. They can draw people's pictures. When they stand on the street, they can paint something which looks realistic. They're a craftsman, and that's nice. Craft is a good thing. But they can't move your heart. And out of those 1,000 students, maybe 2 are actual artists. And their art may not be so beautiful to some person's eye, because art is in the eye of the beholder. But if it moves the heart, it's an expression coming from their heart, and it moves your heart, then we say this person is a real artist, not just a craftsperson. There's so many people doing crafts today. If you go to Konark's place in Delhi, you'll find there's so many artists selling art. And I'm always looking for art. I like art very much. It's a big part of our service. And I look through the paintings they have there, and 99.99% of them are complete garbage. They may be technically accurate. They may be nice pieces of craftsmanship. But the people who are painting it, they're painting paintings of Radha Krishna Leela. But the persons who are doing it are no longer devotees. And they're just doing it as some cultural thing, which the Indian government is supporting. We want to support culture. But unless you support bhakti, the culture has no meaning. It becomes like the Frankenstein monster, like a dead body that's moving by itself. That is crafts, but it's not art. Because they're not reading Srimad Bhagavatam. They're not reading the works of the Goswamis. They don't understand. They have no appreciation for the form of Krishna. It's just a way for them to make money. And that's not really art. Such a person is sold out. So there may be 998 craftspersons out of that college. Similarly, we have a temple. And in the temple, 1,000 people are coming, and they're all coming every day for Mangalartik. They're offering prayers, they're wearing tilak and kuntimal and doing so many. But out of those 998 persons, out of those 1,000 persons, 998 are religious. And it's very good. And we respect and we love them just as we respect and love good craftsmen. Because the craft is so important, so beautiful. We also appreciate anyone who's practicing bhakti, who's worshiping Krishna, because it's so important to worship Krishna. It's so important to practice bhakti. But out of those 1,000 persons coming to the temple, you may have 1 or 2. If you have 2, it's extraordinary. Pure devotees. Persons who really have a love for Krishna and who can really appreciate Krishna. So this is something which Lord Kapila Dev is speaking about today. It's a topic I like very much. I'll just express to you a personal story. Some years ago, we were giving some classes in Zurich, Switzerland. Is that right? Is it Zurich? Yeah, it was Zurich. No, it was in Budapest. Yeah, it was Budapest. And as we were driving around sometimes from place to place, we were giving our classes, I happened to notice some posters advertising a concert, a musical concert. And I have a little appreciation for art. I grew up, my father was an artist, and I grew up in an art colony. I have some, and I look at different paintings and different presentations to see how they're doing it. And I was appreciating all this Natalie Cole was coming. She's a famous kind of jazz singer. And this is some artistic thing. I just glanced at it and think much about it. A few days later, we found ourselves on the airplane going from Budapest to Zurich, Switzerland. And I sit down on the plane, and Krishna Kun is on my right side. And on my left side, a man comes and sits down, and I'm looking at him. And when you travel a lot, you develop a little bit of an eye for people. I looked at him and I said, "What part of America are you from?" I mean, I could understand he was from America. He said, "Oh, how did you know I'm from America?" I said, "You look like an American." And he said, "Yeah, well, I just came." He said, "Actually, I'm a piano player, and I'm traveling with Natalie Cole. And I'm the piano player for Natalie Cole." And he pointed to me, he said, pointing in the front of the airplane, he said, "There's Natalie up there. And there's the bass player, and there's the drummer, and this, and the whole band is here. And I'm here, I'm the piano player." Interesting person. He had a PhD in piano and music, but he was spending his summers every year traveling with Natalie Cole to play, because music is not just some intellectual thing, but it's also expression. Art is also expression, not just some intellectual capacity. So we began talking, and I started speaking to him something about the connections between art and bhakti. And I'm dressed as a Hare Krishna devotee the whole time. I look completely weird to anybody from America. By the time we finished speaking to him on the plane, he was so excited. He was practically jumping up and down. And he asked me, please, can I have your email address? I want to contact you. This is so exciting. And when we got off the plane and we went to collect our baggage, I wanted to present to him one of our magazines, one of our Krishna Katamrita magazines, which is our expression of art. But I didn't see him anywhere. I was a little disappointed. I got the magazine out of our baggage. And then I looked around and I saw there was Natalie Cole, very famous. She's the daughter of Nat King Cole, very famous singer in America, for those of you who don't know. And if you don't know, it's really not very important. But I saw her standing over by herself, and I got inspired. And I walked over and I gave her this magazine about Lord Shiva. She doesn't know anything about Lord Shiva, anything about Krishna. And here's this really weird Hare Krishna guy with a shaved head, wearing a sheet and some funny thing on his head, walking over, and I said, excuse me, are you Natalie Cole? And she was a little unsure, should I call the security? Should I call the police? Who is this guy? And she said, yeah. And I grabbed her hands and I said, I just want to thank you. You're doing something so artistic. It's so wonderful. And I saw your posters there in Budapest. And I talked to David, your piano player, and it's such a wonderful thing. And you know, we're doing something. We try to express art through this magazine. It's a magazine about art and philosophy and ideas. And I'd like to give you a copy. This is our Krishna Katamrita magazine. Unfortunately, I didn't have any Prabhupada's books with us. And I gave her that. And she was stunned. And she said, oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we walked away from her. So these two things are in cause and effect. These three things, art, bhakti, and beauty. And Krishna's beauty is not with him personally. Krishna's beauty is with the devotees. So this is the ultimate expression of art and beauty, is bhakti. So we'll go ahead and stop there. Maybe some devotees online have some comments or questions. Sumati's watching. She's a great artist, great musician. Mahendra Prabhu Vaisheshika Prabhu is a very great artist, and he's an excellent artist in communication with people. Radhika Rad is also an artist. And Ramanath Sukha Prabhu is a mad artist, our dear friend. He says, what role does Saraswati Devi or Srimati Radharani have in empowering the devotee artist? Without Saraswati or without Srimati Radharani, how can there be any art? Because Radharani is Bhakti Devi. She's a personality by her mercy who gives us the ability to appreciate Krishna. And it's through Srimati Radharani's energy which manifests in Saraswati Devi, which also manifests in Gurudev. Shushusho Shadadanasya Vasudeva Katavichi San Mahat Sevya Vipra Punyatirthana Sevana. That when we render service to the Vaishnavas, we render service to Gurudev, then we get some kata ruchi. Then we become a connoisseur of bhakti. So that is through the energy of Srimati Radharani, which is coming through Gurudev, or through the energy of Saraswati Devi. Saraswati Devi is there, and the Vaishnavas also give respect to her. She's like the official mayor of the town. And in that town, there's the Vaishnavas living, and they worship Krishna, but they give respect to the mayor. The mayor is a very important person. So Saraswati Devi is something like that. Brajabanita has commented, my beloved poet dreamed that in every hotel in America and Europe, next to the Bible, a book of the best world poetry should also be on the bedside table. What is the best poetry in the world? The best poetry in the world is the song of God. That's Bhagavad Gita. And that's that poetry in the form of the Sanskrit in Bhagavad Gita is eternal. And Vaisheshika Prabhu and the devotees in San Jose, they're working very hard to present this greatest form of art for all the people. Hare Krishna Bani, nice to see you here. And Lynn says, beauty resides in the liminal space between the loved and the lover. That's a beautiful comment. Such a very fascinating topic, isn't it, to speak about beauty and love. But this is the essence of bhakti. Paul Musa Prabhu comments, Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my obeisances. It seems like such a wonderful topic. It seems that the first disciples of Srila Prabhupada were all attracted to art, such as music, literature, poetry, and painting. My question is, since bhakti is the ultimate art form, do you think that the fact that these devotees were artists themselves was a key component in their taking to Krishna consciousness and appreciating the message that Srila Prabhupada brought to the West? Is being artistic a prerequisite to bhakti? Thank you, your servant Palasya Muni Prabhu. Wow, what a wonderful comment, Prabhu. Thank you. Yes, it's to understand the arts, in one sense, is a prerequisite for bhakti, for real bhakti, because real bhakti means raganuga bhakti. And there has to be some rag, there has to be some ruchi, there has to be some genuine attachment for that. But in the beginning, there may be some passive appreciation. We call that Vaidhi Bhakti. And that passive appreciation is also good. Just like someone may go to art school, they may not be an artist, but they're trained in different schools of art, and this is the classical art, and this is the Renaissance art, and this is this art and that art. And they have some intellectual conception. And they may be able to pass a test in the university. But still, they can't really appreciate fantastic art unless they have the heart for it. It's required. So, yes, in one sense, because many of the first devotees were artists, they were able to appreciate Krishna consciousness. I know I was a street musician before I joined. And one of the things that made me join, I had some interest in art. I went to the temple in New Orleans, and I didn't even see anyone playing it, but I saw a tempura. And I thought, wow, that's really far out. This is really some esoteric, devotional, spiritual art. They're doing something, and it attracted me, just seeing that instrument. And so Vishnu Jana Maharaj, when he was traveling with the Radha Damodar party, they would put on fantastic exhibits of art. They had drama they were doing. Sometimes there were actual painters taking part in things, I think, too. And you had music and things going on. And people were so much attracted by that. And the earliest devotees in our movement were all coming because they were attracted by bhakti. If you want to express to someone the feelings of Sita and Ram, it's a very difficult thing to do. Some person on the street, to sit down and tell them, well, philosophically, Lord Ramachandra is a personality of Godhead, and Sita is his consort, and she's a devotee, and you have to speak so much philosophy. And then maybe they'll intellectually understand. They don't know anything. But the same person, if you bring them to a drama performed by devotees, by exalted devotees, a drama of Ram Leela, the same persons begin to cry. And they feel something in their heart. This is the wonderful quality of bhakti. And the best way to spread Krishna consciousness, to share Krishna consciousness, is to share this art, which means we have to have some appreciation for it ourselves. I hope that's some help. Lynn has made a comment. I wonder if it is sometimes an impediment in the appreciation of any art form to know too many technical elements. That's a nice comment. I like that. Sometimes if we're so technical and we go and there's a kirtan going on and someone's crying in ecstasy, but we hear them and, my God, he's singing the wrong raga. He's not singing oh my God, the way she's playing the mridanga, the tal is not correct at all. If we're so technical, then sometimes we can't appreciate that art. We can't appreciate the bhakti. She says, I think that might sometimes lead to the eyes of the mind jumping in with criticisms. Nice point. Whereas someone who does not have that information and simply sees a painting by Monet and is so moved to tears, he's able to do so because he's seeing with the eyes of the heart. Yes, she's got it. Let me finish these comments online. I'll cover the devotees here. Natalie said, unless there's bhakti, art has no meaning, thank you. Without bhakti, someone expresses only his material shortcomings. As said in the 11th canto, everything material is a lie and has no value for attention. Wow. Lila Avatar, Om Prakash. Hare Krishna, dear devotees who are taking part. So, Prabhuji, Vasudeva Krishna, why don't you come here and you can speak in the microphone so the devotees can hear you.
So you were mentioning that Prabhupada was speaking in Vrindavan. And you were mentioning that he said there were 2 points. One of the points was it was the fault of shortcoming on the part of the person who is preaching, that they are not able to arouse that feeling of love. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then second point, I couldn't catch that, or maybe we didn't discuss it. So
It's funny when you say this, because I was thinking when I read this, I thought, somebody's going to ask this question. But this is the first time I read this quote very often. Anupani has heard me read it many times. It's the first time someone's asked this question that I recall. So good for you, Vasudeva Krishna Prabhu. So Prabhupada actually doesn't make it clear. He doesn't say. Sometimes when you're speaking something, you have an idea and you start to lay a foundation for the idea and you say something, but then you don't finish it. So it's not really clear. Maybe Prabhupada did finish it, but if he did, it's really not clear exactly what he meant by this. So I really am a little shy to try to speculate about it. It's 27 October 1972. It's a lecture Prabhupada gave on the nectar of devotion, some of my favorite topics. Okay, thank you for a nice thoughtful comment, though. Anupani Radha, do you want to add something? Anupani Radha is our resident artist. She's a mad artist. That's why we call her Banana.
So first of all, thank you so much for this topic. I think it's such an important topic for the devotees. And this first statement, the art is expression that moves the heart. This is the essence of the meaning of the art. And also today I finally connected this Srila Prabhupada's class when he said, unless you have ruchi, you cannot really preach. So it's really connected with the statement that art is something which is moving the heart. And unless you cannot do this, you don't have ruchi. You cannot move others' heart. This is really interesting. I finally connected this.
Because what we in the West call preaching, which again is a negative, nasty kind of word, really means bhakti. And bhakti means prachar. Prachar means to nourish or to spread something. So bhakti means to share with other people, but you have to have something to share, and that's art. When someone is relishing something and they just, wow, they're so excited about something, then you can appreciate the painting. Sometimes even the artist themselves, they make a painting and it's okay. But then someone else comes and, oh my God, and they see something in it. They see something, and maybe even the artist wasn't thinking when he made it, and it moves their heart. That emotion, that experience, that's the experience of art. Art is not just the object, but art is also an experience. And so in this case, it means preaching. Preaching really means art. It means relishing. And if we're not doing that, then it's something mechanical, it's something religious, and it may be nice crafts. It may be nice religion. We appreciate all glories. And we respect it, just like we respect crafts. But it doesn't move the heart deeply. You have something else?
Yeah, I think it's limited time, but I just wanted to say this. I also appreciate this comparison with temple and art school. Yeah, it's really important for us to become artists, not just craftsmen.
I hope that I don't get in trouble for making that comment. Even in the temples, all glories to the temples, all glories to all the devotees. So we'll be here again tomorrow, and tomorrow we want to speak about more what the experience of that art is like and what happens, because the greatest art is a form of Krishna. And what is what happens when someone really, really experiences that experiences the art? Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol, Vancha Kalpadru